to another edition of the Interstellar Modeler. In this video what I'm going to be doing is a unique project. This is the breather helmet from Mass Effect. And I obtained this kit from Etsy.com as a gift for my son, and what I'm going to be doing now is detailing this kit and painting it to make it look like the weathered helmet that you see in the game. So this kit actually comes in one piece, and even the face mask here is filled in with plastic. So I've already cut out the face mask area here, and what I'm in the process of doing now is sanding the surface and just smoothing out some odds and ends. And just to give you an idea of what I'm going for here, I pulled these pictures off the internet, and this is the paint scheme that my son liked the most. And so I'm going to try and duplicate the look here. What I'm going to use is Tamiya's mica silver for the lighter colors, and then Tamiya's light gunmetal for the darker ones. And I'm going to use a wash to dirty it up and hopefully duplicate this look here. Can't quite say I'll match it exactly, but well, this at least gives us a guide to go by. And I decided to print this picture here just to show you what the helmet initially looked like. This is a one-piece kit again, and it comes with this eye shield already filled in. You have to take that out of there, and so what I did was I drilled holes along the edge and then used another Dremel tool to cut it out completely. And then I used a sander to a sanding tool to go around the edges to smooth it over, and this is what it looks like now. Now the kit also comes with a clear shield that we will apply from the interior. And I'm not quite sure how I'm going to tint this yet, but I'll have to figure that out as we go along here. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and prime it, and then we'll move on to the painting. Okay, so the next step here is to mask off the lighter colored areas, which I've already painted with the mica silver. And now I'm going to apply the gunmetal. So I've already masked this off. We're going to paint these areas here, and then we'll proceed from there. Alright, so not sure you can tell in this lighting, but we're now starting to see a two-tone pattern. We have the lighter mica silver here and the darker gunmetal here. Next step now will be to apply the black patterns that we see on the helmet, and after that I'll apply the red, and then following that I will be applying a wash to start the weathering process. So let's continue on. Well, this was quite the masking project. Obviously before applying the black paint I had to mask off these areas here. So not only did I have to mask the surface, but also the inner parts here as well. But it's all done, and I'm ready now to airbrush the black color. Alright guys, so it's coming along here. We now have the black areas painted, and the next will be to paint the red here. So I'll go ahead and mask that off and get that done. Alright, and so here we have the red stripe painted, the black areas now are painted, we have the two-tone metallic paints. So the next step now will be to start dirtying it up, which is the fun part. I'm going to mix a wash, I'm going to paint over this, and we're really going to make it all grungy and stuff. So I will get started on that next. So again, I'm using these pictures as a guide, and I just realized before I move on to weathering it, this circular area here is going to have to be painted a kind of goldish color. So I'm going to mask that off. Again, I'm using my French curve here to create the curves that we need to mask off this circular area. Before I move on, I did want to point out one thing here. Now, a majority of the time I do use an airbrush to paint most things, but on occasion you will run across a situation where you have to paint just one isolated area. And so rather than breaking out my airbrush, I still utilize this little kit here from Testors, which is a cap that goes onto a propellant can, and then you hook up a bottle of paint and you're ready to go. It sprays a fine mist, better than an aerosol can would, but yet you don't have quite as good control as an airbrush. But on the other hand, it's a quick way to paint just one small area and easily do that, and it's very simple to take apart again. Now you still have to thin your paint, and I thought this would be a good chance to also show you that for paint thinners, I essentially use the thinner that goes with that brand of paint. So here we're using a Tamiya paint called Titanium Gold, and I'm using now this thinner that's made for acrylic paint by Tamiya to do so. So that's just a general rule that I followed ever since I started airbrushing, and so it's something that's worked out well for me. Alright, so we're ready now to apply the wash. Had to add a few more details here on the sides of the helmet. This did not come with these little ridges that are supposed to be there, so I had to paint those on. That was done with an airbrush and some masking tape. And then, of course, I had to add the color to the lettering and this number and the symbol here. And the wash is going to consist of these two colors here, of black and brown. I'm just going to mix them together and put them in this bucket combined with water, and that's what I'm going to use for the wash. I'll apply it to the helmet, and then I will use these rags to apply some of the detail that I hope to get here. So let me go ahead and get started with that, and I'll let you catch up here in just a second. Alright, well, the wash didn't quite add as much surface detailing as I wanted, and that's due to the fact that we're working with metallic paints, so they don't tend to be very absorbent. So I did apply the wash. It did add a little bit to the mask, but I'm now going to move on to pastels because I think I can do a much better job with that. So as I've shown in previous tutorials, what I do with pastels is I look for corners and try to take advantage and highlight or darken up these shadows here just to create more of a dramatic effect. And you can see I've started here, so here's a good example. I started here at the corner with the pastels and kind of brushed up in an upward motion so we can get a gradient sort of look, and so that we have a darker edge here towards the corner, and it gradiates into a lighter color as we move away from that. So the front of the mask I've already started with as well, and you can see here I just took the pastels and just moved in a downward motion here just to get some strokes both upwards and downwards, and also using the pastels now to darken up these areas here and here and here. Here's a good example here of how we can get enhanced shadows. I just applied the pastels along the inside here and kind of brushed away from that, and we're getting some darker areas there as well. Alright, so I'm going to continue to move on here and keep you apprised of my progress. I hope to add layer after layer here until we can get some good scorch marks going, and I will keep you apprised as I move along. So what I'm in the process of doing right now is trying to duplicate this scorch mark right here. And as you can see, I've already started on the process here. So as you know, this entire area was painted red, and rather than taking an X-Acto knife and trying to scrape and that sort of thing, I've decided to try a different technique. And what I'm going to do now is take this brush, and you can see I've already started here. I've dipped it in a little bit of metalizer paint. Okay, and all I'm doing is I'm just kind of dabbing it on the surface like so. And I'm just building layer upon layer here, and as I do so, we can see more and more of the metallic color shining through. Okay, so it's looking pretty good here. So I'm going to continue on here, and then what I'm going to do is darken the area around it using the Tamiya Weathering Master stuff here, and that way I can darken it up and make some good contrast here, and hopefully duplicate that scorch mark that we see here. Alright, so things are moving right along here. Here is that scorched area here, and what I did was I used the Tamiya Weathering Master along with the applicator that comes with it, and just dabbed along the edge here, making it darker and darker. I also discovered that you can combine that then with pastels. It makes it even darker. So looks like it turned out pretty nice here. I'm pretty happy with it. I then applied a dull coat so it will stay on. And so now the next thing is to go ahead and maneuver here to the back part of the helmet and continue work here, and then the underside here, which will be pretty grimy and dirty when I'm done with it. Okay, so excuse the noise, I had the garage door open, it was just getting too hot in here. So I moved on now to the back portion here, and let me just kind of show you what I'm doing again. So again, taking advantage of these corners that you see here, so just this is a perfect one here. I'm going to add some pastels right there. And darken it up really dark, and then just start brushing away from that corner. And again, the goal is to darken up the shadows, give the object here a bit more depth by doing so. And so I've applied, you can see here, pastels all along here and all along here using the same technique, and I'll continue on and I'll show you when it's done. Alright, so as you know, I was using these pictures as a template for our helmet here, and this is now what it looks like. So you can see we got a pretty close facsimile going on here. Colors might be a little bit different, but overall I'm pretty happy with the final result. This again is the Mass Effect breather helmet. So essentially what we're going for then is a helmet that looked battle worn, and so we had to apply a lot of weathering here. And I wanted to make a video of this build because it is a good example of how you can use your painting techniques for a lot of different things, including bigger projects like this. So with the use of pastels and the Utamiya kit, we're able to make it look weathered and beaten up here. And the entire surface was then sealed with a dull coat, and we decided on a dull coat, and I say we because again this is my son's helmet and I was making this for him for his birthday, because we just figured, you know, a battle helmet's not going to be all shiny and stuff, so we decided just to seal it with a dull coat, and I think it looks pretty good. And moving around to the back here, again you can see how the pastels and the detailing kit did a great job, and also you can see how the back area here looks nice and grungy, like we were shooting for. And you can see the other piece that's in place now is the face shield. The kit comes with a clear face shield, and my son decided to leave it clear because he said in the game it is clear. So that saved me an extra step to try to figure out how to tint the thing. I've seen a number of examples online, including this one here, where you can see the face shield is tinted. But it was fairly simple to install. It was molded to this opening here, and I just attached it with hot glue. Nice thing about hot glue is that it is removable, so we can take it out if we wanted to, if we decided to tint it later. One other thing to point out here, as I was finishing the kit, I noticed that this example had along the edges kind of a brushed appearance here, so I decided to try to duplicate that. And the way I did this here was I took a very light amount of paint on a brush and used the Steel Metallizer paint and just lightly brushed along the edges here, and so it looks like it's a bit worn all along the edge here and here, and I also did that on the opposite side, and you can see a little bit here on this mouthpiece. So needless to say, my son was pretty excited with the way it all turned out, and I have to say I'm pretty satisfied with it as well. If you're at all interested in this kit, it's available from a company called Wrecked Studios. I found them both on Facebook as well as Etsy.com, and the kit is available for about $100, and it comes again with the helmet that you see here, all molded and ready to go, as well as the clear eye shield. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on my YouTube channel. I thank you very much for watching. I'm also very appreciative of all the great comments that I receive on these videos. It really does mean a lot to me. So take care, you guys, and I will see you in the next one. I'm not sure what my next project is going to be, but I'm sure I'll make a video of it. I will see you guys then. Take care.